I think it plays much better if he announces for president, then gets charged with a crime. Now, we can think, oh, he's going to run, which I think everybody out there does, and that's why they're charging him. But if he's already an announced candidate and then they charge him, I think narratively he's got a really popular and powerful attack. I don't know that it's best for the midterms because it does make him already a part of the story, but I think as soon as they raided him, they made, Democrats did, Trump a part of the midterms in a way that he would not have been minus the raid. Poll results have come out in the last couple of hours. University of North Florida. One of the polls, not particularly surprising. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis up 7 points on Nikki Fried, up 8 points on Charlie Crist. Democrats still have to pick their their nominee on the Democrat side.
And when they do, by the way, you're going to see that DeSantis number go up a couple points just when we know who the Democrat nominee is.
I think it'll be Charlie Crist. He seems to be kind of running away with it in many ways.
He's been running for office in Florida for the last 100 years, from what I can understand.
Here's a good example of this, Buck. 2 different polls in Florida today, and I'm looking at Real Clear Politics. I love looking at polls. I'm a nerd. They post these new every day. In St. Petersburg, they did a poll, St. Pete polls. Charlie Crist up 32 points over Nikki Fried in the Democrat
believe
primary.
that, sure.
Okay. In the University of North Florida poll, Nikki Fried up 4 points. They came out the same day, a 36-point poll difference and a difference in who would win. So that's kind of hard to explain, and it brings me to this. We've been talking a lot about the Senate.
Wait, but can I ask you, which one do you think is right? I mean, I'm not following. I've never looked at a poll before between the two of them. The assumption has been that Fried is the agricultural commissioner, and she's been making a lot of noise. I think people realize she's a little off. And then there's, old man Crist, who's just been around forever.
Yeah, I think Crist is probably going to be the nominee.
Yeah.
But the fact that we got 36-point difference ties me in here. They've got Rubio down to Val Demings in the Senate race. Now, I do not believe this is accurate, but you're probably going to see this start to ricochet around because Democrats want to sell the idea that they have tremendous momentum, right? They're trying to sell this idea, Joe Biden passed the House and the Senate bill. They're trying to sell the idea that he's on the comeback trail. And so I guarantee you that this poll is going to get a lot of attention. Val Demings, they have her up 4 points over Rubio, University of North Florida poll. Now, the reason why I want to share it with you, I don't want to run from it because the Senate is
It's going to be tough,
mess.
folks. It's going to be tough. Look, Dr. Oz, did you see the Dr. Oz commercial where he goes in, the campaign thing, where he goes in to talk about the price of things, and he's asking about what he needs to buy for his crudité? I mean, it's like he should go in there and ask if they have any Grey Poupon. This was not good, right? I mean, the team here, you guys saw it, right?
Thought I'd do some grocery shopping. I'm at Wegner's, and my wife wants some vegetables for crudité, right? So here's a broccoli. That's $2. Not a ton of broccoli there. There's some asparagus. That's $4. Yep. Carrots. That's $4 more. That's $10 of vegetables there. And then we need some guacamole. That's $4 more. And she loves salsa. Yeah, there's salsa there. $6. Must be a shortage of salsa. Guys, that's $20 for crudité, and this doesn't include the tequila. I mean, that's outrageous. And we got Joe Biden to thank for this.
Well, Dr. Oz, I know you talked to him last week when I was out.
Yeah, we had him on. He was great on the show.
Look, he's super compelling. He's been crazy successful in media. But as his campaign is going here, Clay, some people are starting to say he's down almost double digits to Fetterman, and Fetterman looks like he doesn't, look shaky. And he's not an old guy. He just looks shaky. He had a serious health event recently.
Yeah, he had a stroke, and Fetterman cannot speak.
And you can count on us to eliminate the filibuster if you come out and step with us we will be able to stand with you in D.C. I gave away the lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania, the only lieutenant governor in the history to do that. And let's get some stuff done for America. Who would ever think that I would be the normal one in the race here, with that?
And Dr. Oz has challenged him to 5 different debates. I don't think that Fetterman's going to be able to debate. And I think it's going to be even more aggressive in Pennsylvania trying to hide him than they did with Joe Biden in the 2020 presidential election, except Fetterman is even in worse shape than Biden was. So Pennsylvania is going to be a mess. We've got a big battle going on in Wisconsin. Georgia, certainly we know about. And Nevada, hopefully New Hampshire can end up being competitive. They're picking a nominee here soon. And then Arizona. But if you have been out there and you've been of the belief, hey, there's a huge red wave coming, we don't really need to worry about it too much. I don't need to get active. I don't need to speak out. In the Senate in particular, that is not necessarily going to be the case. You need to be as aggressive as you can.
We're speaking to, with this show, millions of voters across the country. We're speaking to conservative and Republican activists, people that are doing a lot of grassroots organizing, people that are fired up to try to create a groundswell of support for the right candidates, whether it's for the school board all the way up to Senate seats in this election. This is not the time to coast. This is when, you're kicking hard at the end of the race. This is when it's a time to absolutely hit the afterburner, because it's looking pretty good for J.D. Vance in Ohio, but it's not a sure thing. It's very tight. I think he's going to be all right, but Laxalt, I think he's going to win in Nevada, but that one's going to be close. Blake Masters, strong candidate, steep hill to climb against Mark Kelly, the incumbent. And then you get into Herschel v. Van Jones in Georgia and Dr. Oz versus Fetterman in Pennsylvania. Those are tough ones, man. Those are tough right now.
Look, Reverend Warnock has been a poor candidate who managed to win once, and we'll see what ends up happening in that next one. And so this is going to be a real challenge to see exactly what's going to happen there. And I don't think you can overrate how competitive a bunch of these are going to be. And look, this Rubio versus Val Demings race down in Florida is going to get trumpeted. So I just want you to hear from us as these polls are coming out. We're going to try to keep you apprised of everything.
And that's why I think it's so important to stay focused on this. And I know it's a Republican seat, but not really up in Alaska. That's the problem. You win some, you lose some with Murkowski on the Republican side, which is why I think Shabaka would be. It really would be almost like a Republican pickup if she can win that seat, because you can count so much more on her for judicial nominees. You and I were talking about this. The House goes to Republicans, likely. Everyone thinks so. Off your election. Okay, great. That slows down the Biden agenda for sure, and that's a good thing. But it doesn't stop it. And if you have a Supreme Court vacancy or even just federal circuit courts, that will be all. They will stack these circuit courts with the most activist left-wing lunatics they possibly can, and they'll put in more of these nominees to head the federal agencies, to use those, the fourth branch of government, the federal agencies, to push Biden agenda items. So Senate is it's obviously, to say it's important is an understatement, and it's obvious, but it's not looking like it did a couple months ago, where, we're talking about the red wave, the annihilation, Clay, in May, in June.
Yeah.
Democrats, we knew they had a bag of tricks, and they're reaching deep into it.
Well, and look, the other thing is, if they control the Senate, I hate to say it, but you never know. Clarence Thomas, 74 years old, Buck. You've got John Roberts. I mean, he's coming up on 68. Alito is 72, going on 73. There are a lot of people out there. When you get into your 70s, we know this happens. Unfortunately, people can have unexpected health-related issues. And this is a real issue in terms of being able to be a check on the Biden administration and their agenda. And it's not going to be a cakewalk. People need to be super active and aware of how much of a battle this is going to be in many parts of the country.
Can I ask you a question before we're going to go to break? Maybe if you want to come back to it, we can. It's what we call a tease in the business. Is it better for pure bare-knuckle political purposes if they're going to indict Trump? Do they want to do it before this midterm election or after to see how the chips may fall in the midterm without poking the bear further?
The way I think about this is it feels like such a calculated attempt to turn Trump into a referendum on the midterms and not make us focus on everything Joe Biden has done that's a disaster. I think that Trump should go, and this is just my opinion, I think that Trump should go ahead and announce. If I were advising him, now I don't think it's the best thing for Republicans. I think it's the best thing for Trump. And let me explain what I mean by this. Because if they charge him, Buck, and I think there's a decent chance they will, it plays completely into his narrative and might make it less likely that they charge him if he's already announced as a 2024 presidential candidate. Because then he can say, look what happened. I announced for president and they immediately charged me with a bunch of different crimes. This is the way they're going to keep me from winning in 2024. Versus, Buck, if they charge him with crimes and then he ends up announcing after the crimes, narratively, he doesn't have the same cachet. I think it plays much better if he announces for president, then gets charged with a crime. Now, we can think, oh, he's going to run, which I think everybody out there does, and that's why they're charging him. But if he's already an announced candidate and then they charge him, I think narratively, he's got a really popular and powerful attack. I don't know that it's best for the midterms because it does make him already a part of the story, but I think as soon as they raided him, they made, Democrats did, Trump a part of the midterms in a way that he would not have been minus the raid. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And what's fascinating is that you have this decision-making that goes along the lines of, well, we can't charge him before the election because that will seem political. But if you're moving charging decisions until after an election, that in itself is a political decision as well. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't from that perspective. Obviously, the thing to do here would be to not charge him because I think the whole thing is bogus and insane. But that doesn't mean that it's going to slow down Democrats at all from it. I also think that some level, too, the decision-making around this is affected by what Democrats think their prospects are going in here. I think there's a lot of discussion going on. Anybody who believes what? No, Merrick Garland never talks to anybody in the White House. There's no conversations going on about, is Joe Biden even going to run again? Give me a break, folks, right? These people are all having lunch with each other in D.C. It's a swamp for a reason. So I think that all weighs in, that all factors into this as well. And, I mean, on the one hand, it feels like they have to charge him. On the other hand, to charge President Trump would be so crazy that it's hard to fathom they would go through with it.
Yeah, and I think the other aspect of this is a lot of this is calculus in Trump's mind and his advisor's mind. Are they going to charge him? Does this affidavit, remember the big hearing on whether this affidavit gets released is Thursday. Does this affidavit come out? That would be very helpful, I think, to Trump. I understand why he's arguing for that. He would like to see the information that they're basing their warrant request on. All of these things are difficult. The best possible timing would be if Trump could announce for president and then he got charged like a week later. If you're trying to put it out in Trump world, the better opportunity for him would have been if the FBI had raided him after he were already announced. But I think what we're seeing is Trump is going to be a big part of the midterms. And what is the calculus on his impact on the elections, Buck? How many people are going to vote or not vote based on Trump? It's unfortunate because Biden is the story. He's the failure as president. It should be a referendum.
And of course, there'll be, when we have the results in, it will be, did Trump candidates do well? How did Dr. Oz and Herschel Walker end up faring, for example? There are a lot of Trump-backed candidates, obviously, but those two in particular we've been talking about. It is going to be a difficult fight against Raphael Warnock in Georgia, for sure. It's going to be a difficult fight against Fetterman in Pennsylvania. And then does Trump have the golden touch, so to speak, or not? A lot of things we're going to see.